r/AskReddit question what mind-blowing but simple facts would satisfy a 4-year-old daughter's daily request for one fact before bedtime. Most people have more than the average number of arms.
At first I was like, oh, a troll comment. But then I realized some people have less than 2 arms, making the average less than 2. Nice one, thumbs up.
A day on Venus takes longer to complete than a year on Venus. How it simply takes longer for Venus to do one complete rotation around its own axis than it does for the planet to rotate around the Sun. Edit. From my memory I believe it's only like 10-15 days difference. But still an interesting fact. Another fun fact is aluminum used to be such a precious metal and so expensive that the top point of the Washington Monument is made of pure aluminum. At the time of construction, that aluminum would be about like capping it with platinum today. Otters have skin pockets for their favorite rocks.
They are also surprisingly vicious. I seem to remember that most sea otters are left-handed, too. The reason that they're so playful is because they're such efficient killing machines that they have extra time to spend on things besides hunting. But that's a much less 4-year-old friendly fact.
The name for the Arctic comes from the ancient Greek word for bear, Arctos, named after one of the constellations Ursa Major, Big Bear, or Ursa Minor, Little Bear, but there are bears living there too. So basically, the Arctic is called bear, and the Antarctic is called not bear. Edit. Slight fact correction. Thanks you Wolfie Rampant.
And the word bear isn't the animal's actual name. Ancient peoples feared that speaking its name would bring bad luck. It's a euphemism roughly translated to the brown one. And the Slavic people did the same thing, only they called bears honey eaters. So in most Slavic languages the word for bear is something like medvedjed. Med equals honey. Jed equals eater.
Cashews come from a fruit.
The fruit is edible but apparently hard to transport long distances. So the only places you're likely to find it are where cashews are grown. They also don't grow inside the fruit. They're on top of it. Like a sort of ridiculous hat. Edit. Not on top. Underneath. My bad. Either the fruit is the ridiculous hat or the nut is either a set of testicles or is somebody below me said. A massive dump. Edit. Wow. Gold. Thanks a heap. Did you know that cashew juice is quite popular in Brazil? But I can't remember how it tastes like.
A Siamese cat's fur color is dependent on its body temperature. That's why the colder areas of the body such as the nose, paws, and tail are darker than the rest. Most elephants weigh less than a blue whale's tongue.
I guess I'm 4, because I'm loving all the fun facts in this thread. Most no need to fat shame Nelly the ballyphant. Not according to Google. Unless you count young elephants. Blue whale's tongue, 5,400 pounds. African bush elephant, 13,000 pounds. Asian elephant, 12,000 pounds. African forest elephant, 6,000 pounds. Some species of burrowing spiders keep teeny tiny frogs in their burrows to keep it free of bugs too small for the spider to get that might try to eat the spider's eggs. This means that tiny frogs are spider cats. Yes, I love it when my cat saves my human eggs from being eaten by tiny bugs. Do you think the frog is terrified of his 8-eyed host, or do you think they appreciate the protection and free food? Wow, spiders have pets. I did not know that. From the time Pluto was discovered until the time it was demoted from planethood, it still hadn't made one complete revolution around the Sun. 73 years from 19,332,006 out of a 248-year orbit. This makes me sad. It hadn't even gotten one birthday. Uranus has finished only one revolution since its discovery in 2011, as it was discovered in late 1846. Edit. I meant Neptune. In Switzerland, it's illegal to own just one guinea pig if you have any. You have to have at least 2. They get lonely. Can confirm. I have 3 poop machines running around. Same in Sweden. Got 2 cockatiels instead of 1. There's also strict regulations on cage size, etc. That's honestly an adorable law.
Bees tell their friends about good nearby flowers by dancing.
And if you feed them cocaine, they will exaggerate the amount of flowers. And sometimes say they have found flowers when they actually haven't. Just like humans. Probably not suitable for a for-yo, but it's cool to know we're not so different to bees. Maybe they're saying, cocaine, not flowers. Okay, I am curious. Does a bunch of researchers sit down and think, I wonder what bees do when they get high, let's give them some cocaine?
A lot of the TV or internet videos she watches comes via undersea cables.
That's because the undersea cables are faster than satellite. Also wait, what? Thought. That seems pretty reasonable. Sending all your data to space and back isn't exactly the most direct route.
There's an island in Japan populated only by fluffy bunnies.
That Google search just made my day. That Google search just made my day. I mean, there's a hotel and some tourist stuff there. And some of the bunnies are pretty gnarly worn out. But also true. It is also great and I highly recommend visiting.
The building in the world with the most toilets is Wembley Stadium. Cows get excited when they solve puzzles. The filling in a Kit Kat is broken up Kit Kats. One time a guy ate an airplane. It took him several years but he did it. The little jump guinea pigs do when they're happy is called popcorning. When a cat walks towards you with its tail up, that means it likes you and is excited to see you. Elephants have a noise that means, there are bees here, let's leave immediately. They played golf on the moon one time. I will add more if I think of them. What topics does she like?
But what was used for the filling of the first Kit Kat? Elephants also emit really low sounds that humans can't hear. But other elephants can hear up to 5 kilometers away and sometimes more. Wait, if the inside of a Kit Kat is broken Kit Kat, then those said broken Kit Kats are made of even more broken Kit Kats. That seems rather paradoxical.
Brigadier Colonel Olav is a king penguin. He is Colonel-in-Chief of the Norwegian King's Guard, as well as the mascot. He currently lives in the Edinburgh Zoo in Scotland.
So Scotland is currently holding a Norwegian colonel as a prisoner of war. No, of course not. He's an honored guest who may not leave.
Pineapples are a collection of berries.
Bananas are berries too, and they grow on banana plants, not banana trees. Record scratch YA what when where now. I used to work in a fruit and veg shop as a teenager. We had a woman come in once complaining that all the melons had a dirty mark on them. I explained that's because they grow on the ground, just like a potato or a carrot being covered in earth. She didn't believe me. She thought melons hung from trees.
Giraffe tongues are black
to protect from sunburn as they are out so much during the day. Sun's out, tongues out.
Kangaroos can't walk backwards. Edit. I wanna make it clear that I have no idea who Daniel Tosh is. And when I say walk I mean hop.
Kangaroos can't walk at all, their hind legs can't move independently. Neither can emus, which is why they're featured on the Australian coat of arms, as it symbolizes our country always moving forward. Daniel Tosh drove this into my brain and it never left.
Horses are more closely related to rhinos than to deer.
Additionally, horses have roughly a 350-degree field of vision around them, with one of their 2 blind spots being in the front. Horses can't see directly ahead for up to about 4 feet. Humans are closer related to chimpanzees than horses are to donkeys, and those can have offspring. So to sneak up on a horse you have to be really thin.
When a bee is chosen to be the new queen, they are given a special type of honey that completely changes their bodies. Kind of like how a Pokemon evolves. Super simplified, but it's still pretty cool to think about.
When the first young queen hatches, she stings all the other developing queens while still in their cells. There can only be one. I believe beekeepers sometimes section some off, since queens are valuable. Of course, this may not be a child-appropriate fact. Wouldn't want to encourage sibling murder. When the first young queen hatches, she stings all the other developing queens while still in their cells. There can only be one. I believe beekeepers sometimes section some off, since queens are valuable. Of course, this may not be a child-appropriate fact. Wouldn't want to encourage sibling murder. Leela, I just want you to wake up. Please wake up.
Hippopotamus milk is pink. Some fish cough. Don't eat too many carrots or your skin will turn orange. That happened to my own daughter. Some frogs will glow when they eat fireflies. Before 1913, parents could mail their kids to grandmas through the postal service.
By the same token, don't drink too much water or you can effectively dilute your internal chemistry to the point you will get sick. Why has no one addressed the last one, yet it mailed them? How did they poke holes in the box? Would they do overseas delivery? Was there an age cutoff? I made my own baby food, and my daughter loved pumpkin, sweet potato, and carrots the most. Her nose definitely took on an orange tinge.
Tigers have striped skin.
Some badass tiger shaving scientists found this out. The word tiger might come from an old Persian word for sharp. It's part of the initiation for us.
It takes a little over 8 minutes for the light from the sun to get to Earth.
So if the sun died, we wouldn't know for 8 minutes. An even more weird fact is that because information can't travel faster than the speed of light, Earth doesn't feel the gravitational pull from the sun's actual location, but rather where it was 8 minutes ago. It could be dead even now.
There are more stars than there are grains of sand on all the beaches in the world. Cows can walk upstairs, but they can't walk down.
I feel like if I couldn't see my feet, I'd be more scared to walk down steps than up. Also, username checks out. I feel like if I couldn't see my feet, I'd be more scared to walk down steps than up. Also, username checks out. How do you know you counted every grain of sand?
Fact: a curious 4-year-old can never be satisfied with one fact per day.
This is true. Response to fact will be what? Response to why will be how? Response to how will be what? It's a vicious cycle.
Whales are closer to cows than to sharks. Edit. Yalla hilarious. And Shaz 4. I think Mom Dad will deal with genome later.
False. The cows just don't see how close the sharks are until it's too late. Like, emotionally. Who keeps dropping these cows in the ocean near the whales?
A polar bear's skin is black. Wow, goals, thank you so much.
And their hair isn't white but transparent and hollow. This is a good one but feels wrong, so might be a hard sell. If the skin is black and the hair is transparent, why are they white?
Birds poo and pee from the same hole at the same time.
And the hole is called a cloaca. Birds poo and pee from the same hole at the same time. Kangaroos poo, pee and give birth from the same hole. Also, male kangaroos have a split penis because female kangaroos have 2 vaginas. Fun times.
A platypus lays eggs and has milk, making it the only mammal that could in theory make its own custard.
They also have poison in their thumb. They sweat their milk when they lactate, because they don't have nipples.
Ask her to give you one fact in exchange of one fact. This will encourage her to learn more and try to meet the daily one fact before bed. It rains diamonds on Saturn and Jupiter other planets.
I wish my anus rained diamonds, as long as they were small enough. I wish my anus rained diamonds, as long as they were small enough. The biggest diamond in the world would be painful, but you would be walking away.
Billy goats wee on their heads to smell better for the lady goats.
But how? Pretend you're a billy goat for a second. Now pee on your head. Do they like pee on the ground and then mash their faces into it? Is it like a yoga technique? Do they just hold it in for as long as possible, hoping that the pressure is sufficient for a headshot? I need to know.
Owls cannot be choked.
OMG, this means that someone tried to choke them and failed on more than one occasion. I think this is a little misleading. Owls cannot choke whilst eating as they lack a gag reflex, meaning they can do the swallowing prey whole thing. But they certainly can be strangled. Owls, to the best of my knowledge, have a neck between mouth, beak, but is it still a mouth behind the beak, and lungs, as well as between brain and heart. Apply pressure to the neck and you'll eventually stop the flow of one or both. I wanted to say, not with that attitude, but owls are way cooler than people, and don't deserve that kind of treatment.
Making pennies cost more than their actual value.
That's why Canada doesn't use them anymore.
Male seahorses carry the baby in their tummy instead of the mommy.
Babies. Lots of them.
Lobsters were considered disgusting and low-class food, to the point that feeding them to prisoners too often was considered cruel and unusual punishment. Also, they're basically just big sea roaches.
True, but this was before they realized they had to cook lobster immediately after its death and eat it. I only knew this because I had discovered your fact before. It's only cruel and unusual if they weren't offered butter. Lobsters pee out of their eyes in their way of showing that they like each other. I.e., initiating mating is to pee on each other a lot.
A woodchuck belongs to the family of ground squirrels.
She doesn't care what family it is from. And #X200B. She wants to know how much wood it can chuck. Can you answer that? Say no to slavery. Free the woodchucks. A woodchuck would chuck all the wood he could chuck, if a woodchuck could chuck wood.
Your hand is exactly the same size as your face. Thwack. Closing parenthesis.
You have siblings, don't you? I tell this story every time this is brought up. There was a kid in my elementary school that apparently never got to the end of this thing. So he would just go around and say, if your hand is bigger than your face, you have cancer. Then we would check and he would declare us cancer-free one by one. Stop hitting yourself.
Butterflies smell with their feet. Edit. Wow, thanks for my first gold, stranger.
Butterflies will also literally drink blood, sweat, and tears. Man, butterflies are metal.
There's AD's fridge but not in refrigerator.
This is why my children yell, fuck English. Who thought this was a good idea anyway? Whenever I try to teach them how to spell. Wow, what a relatable problem.
The distance from your inner elbow to your wrist is the same as the length of your foot. This one is fun because it sounds insane. The forearm looks longer, but if you put your foot to your arm, you see that it's accurate. If you put both hands in front of you and write a word, your non-dominant hand will write an exact mirror of your dominant hand without you having to think about it. It will work with shapes too if she's too young to write words.
I am 24 years old and just spent a solid 5 minutes writing words in the air and giggling to myself. I'm 42 and just spent 5 minutes trying to align my foot with my forearm. Thank God I'm not the only one.
Pufferfish are full of water, not air. Don't know if that's mind-blowing, but I learned that at the ripe old age of 38. It's logical when I think about it, but it never crossed my mind. Also, a spinning disk is going faster at the outer edge than in the middle. What body part grows 10 times its size when stimulated? Exclamation mark. The pupil of the eye.
How did you do that? Like this. Spoiler text goes here, but without the spaces between the and. Spoiler text goes here. Have fun.
Rabbits usually sleep during the day, but they often sleep with their eyes open so you can't tell. If you look closely, sleeping bunnies don't twitch their noses. There are more ways to arrange a deck of cards than there are stars in our galaxy.
Hold up a minute. I did as you said and emptied the ocean, but now where am I supposed to get a sheet of paper? You Never said anything about bringing paper. Hold up a minute. I did as you said and emptied the ocean, but now where am I supposed to get a sheet of paper? You never said anything about bringing paper. Another fun fact. Notice how the equatorial circumference of Earth is just over 40,000 kilometers. That's because the meter was originally defined to be 110 millionth the distance from the equator to the North Pole, and a rod was machined equal to that length. Do that 4 times. 40 million meters. The equatorial circumference is a little more because Earth rotates.
There is a planet in our solar system populated entirely by robots. Is anyone else just reading these great lists to satisfy your inner 4-year-old? Parrotfish are responsible for most of the sand in the world. They eat coral looking for the good stuff and spit out the chewed-up pieces, which happens to now be sand.
They don't just spit it out. The Blue Planet documentary had sequence showing a school of parrotfish majestically pooping out great gouts of sand.